This is Keith Helwig from Cops, Corrections Videos. If you like my videos, please subscribe. Today I'd like to talk about a subject which a lot of us don't like to broach, and that subject is fear. Fear is something that's normal for everyday people. Whether you fear spiders, whether you fear heights, whether you fear balloons, fear is a part of everybody's life. It's more so a part of your life if you work in areas such as a firefighter, police officer, correctional officer, probation officer. Anybody that's in any of those professions that tells you they've never been scared is lying. I know in both my professions as a correctional officer and as a police officer, there have been times I've been scared. When I first started, I was put into a unit with 40 inmates. I was 22 years old, and I was scared. I knew how to handle it. I knew what I needed to do, but yeah, I was scared. And you know what? Sometimes fear is a healthy thing. Fear causes you to be apprehensive instead of complacent. Fear can be a motivation to do your job better. I remember the one time when I was probably one of the most afraid when I was working unit by myself is there used to be Friday night fights on TV. The day room kept getting louder and louder, and finally I told them, next time you erupt like that, I'm going to turn the TV off. So the day room erupted because there was fights on TV, so I turned the television off. And I told the inmates, I said, as soon as you quiet down, I'll turn the TV back on. Well, they quieted down, and I turned the TV back on. Well, in the meantime, the headline fight of the evening had been conducted. There'd been a knockout, and everything was over. Needless to say, I wasn't a very popular man in that unit at that point in time. Now, this was late at night. I was alone, and the majority of the inmates, and this isn't meant to be racist or whatever, it's just a fact, the majority of inmates in that unit were black. Well, all the black inmates in that unit came up in the dining room and sat down and stared at me. Now, I'm probably, at this time, 23, 24 years old. I had a couple years under my belt. Well, I'm sitting in my office, and I have 25 inmates staring at me because they're pissed off because I made them miss the prize fight of the evening. So anyways, it got time to do count, and everybody's still sitting there. Now, they didn't have to return to their room. It was an informal count. They didn't have to return to their room, but I had to go take count. Well, you better believe I was shaking a beagle crapping peach pits when I walked out of that office. You know, of course, at that time, I had a 4-cell mag light. Didn't have a radio, didn't have a body alarm, didn't have OC, taser, cuffs, nothing. All I had was that mag light, and I thought, well, if I got to use it, I'm going to use it. And I went and I took my count, and I went and sat back down in the office, called my count in. But before I had called my count in, I had made Control Center aware of the fact that there was a hostile situation in the area. So they had a couple of the roving patrols standing by outside of the building, which we were still greatly outnumbered if something had kicked off. Well, anyways, I had a man in my unit who was the leader of one of the black street gangs. And I remember as I sat back down after I called my count in, he looked me dead in the eye, he gave me a little sign like this, nodded, and everybody got up and went to their room. He was pretty much letting me know they were in charge of the unit, and they were. They respected my authority. They were mad at me, but they respected my authority. You know, I could count many other times that I've been afraid as a police officer, that I've been afraid as a correctional officer. Fear is normal. Fear can be healthy. One of the things I want to talk about when I'm talking about fear is the Uvalde situation. I watched some update training. I had some update training on the Uvalde situation, an active shooter. And the response there, people don't realize that the first officers on the scene were there within 3 minutes. And they did attempt to go down there. They were met by a barrage of gunfire. Now, rightfully so, if I'm met by a barrage of gunfire, you better believe I'm going to be afraid. They backed up. There were several failures in that whole situation. One, nobody took command. The Uvalde police chief, the one for the school district, was there. He should not have been inside that building watching things. He should have been outside of that building coordinating things. They didn't have anybody that took control or command of the situation. Now, I don't know if they're afraid of making decisions, or if they're afraid of doing the right thing, the wrong thing, or if they let fear dictate their motives. But the fact of the matter is, we all have a job to do. Now, I hope I never have to face an active shooter situation. But I pray that if I do, that my fear won't be the overriding factor in my decisions. I don't want fear to dictate how I'm going to react. I want to be able to do my job. Now, can I say with 100% certainty that I would run into the sound of gunfire? Nobody can say that. I don't care who you are. Nobody can say that. I can say with 100% certainty that I would do as I'm trained. I would say with 100% certainty that the area I live in, somebody is going to assume command. Somebody's going to set up a command center. You know, it's a shame of what happened at Uvalde. It's a shame of the lives lost. It's a shame of the careers lost. And it's a shame that nobody stepped forward to take command in that situation. So anyways, I want to go back to my main focus of fear. Fear is normal. Fear is natural. Fear can be good. But don't let your fear dictate your actions or your life. Until next time, this is Keith Helwig from Cops Corrections Videos. Stay safe and watch your back.